Have you ever witnessed a situation when someone got angry with an accusation audit for some points, like for being too bold or anything, like, to come back at, I didn't say that, I don't know, like, what makes you think, whatever, what you're saying is not true, so that it escalated instead of...
The only reason an audit would land wrong and it would be escalated by the other side is if your tone was completely off.
Okay.
If your tone comes across accusatory, you're going to cause a defensive reaction. So if in your audit you come across harsh or like you're accusing them of the negative thing you're trying to mitigate because your tone is off a little bit, or your intention is maybe off, or you're having a bad day and you're not really thinking about doing it like you're supposed to, then you might have a defensive reaction, which is going to cause an attack. But if your tone is right and you have a genuineness in the way that you're talking to them, they're not going to take it the wrong way. It's not going to land wrong unless you put it out there wrong.
I feel like I failed miserably this week.
That was not a failure. Okay. So Stacy sent an email, basically said, help, I need help right now. So I sent her something to say. She had someone that was kind of nickel and diming her on the price, wanted her to cut down. I mean, almost in half of what your price was. It was just over half. So I told her what to say. She sent the email and got a call immediately.
It was perfect. I mean, he came back and he literally said, like, his first words out of his mouth were, no, it didn't come across negative, because I copied and pasted and I hit send. And so I didn't change a thing. I literally just did exactly what you said. And it said, you may think this is going to come across negative. This may feel negative or something like that. And then, it said, it seems like you don't appreciate or value our service. And he immediately called me as I hit send and the phone rang. And so he said, no, it didn't come across negative. He's like, I absolutely value your service. I feel terrible that that's what you think. And then he started to give me, he's like, please understand where I'm coming from. He's like, I had this budget originally earmarked. Here's what I'm coming up against internally is that, they offer the service internally for $75. You're charging $250. He's like, I've already come in and set the budget with them at this point. He's like, so when I come in and I'm trying to articulate the difference, he's like, I can't. And so he felt like as though he was backed up against the wall. And I felt like I got what I needed out of that from the perspective. I kept saying, well, how am I supposed to do this? I said, how am I supposed to trust and know that this will be the first engagement and now not every single one moving forward won't be this conversation? And he's like, here's what I'll do. He's like, I will give you a video testimonial. I will personally refer you to 3 other product managers. I will tell everybody that I paid full price. I will, he started listing off all the things that he would do to make it right, or make it whole, I guess. And I said, okay, I ended up going with it. But I feel like, I think my question to you is, should I have gone back and said, it feels like we're at an impasse? And been willing to is that the thing? Am I supposed to walk away?
No, well, that's a line. You have to realize where you're willing to not go. And that's an individual decision that you have to make. Mm-hmm. The point of what happened there, it wasn't a failure because you found the black swan. You found out that he was feeling pressure from above, and that's why he sent the email that he sent. It had nothing to do with him trying to gouge you for price. It had everything to do with the pressure he was feeling from above and a budget that he had that would not budge. So you found that out with the email that you sent, and you were able to work with that. So at least it wasn't him saying, we don't feel like you're worth this. I'm going to offer you this much because he's trying to bargain with you. That wasn't the case. You found out that it was actually his budget and he felt really bad. And he, explained to you everything that happened. So the email served its purpose. There was no failure there. Okay. It's your decision where you take it after that. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you worked out some other terms that were in your favor. So that price ended up being okay. So, so not a failure at all. Don't think of it that way.
Okay.
Remember, you don't get in life what's fair, you get what you negotiate. If you want to become a better negotiator, click the link in the description below.
Okay, good. Well, because the stuff worked perfectly. So I wasn't thinking that the email was the failure. I was thinking that I failed once I got on the phone. I thought, oh crap, I'd done all this work of getting to this point. And then as soon as I got what I felt were legitimate insights and really heartfelt. I mean, he was very earnest in his, unless I'm just getting snowed, in which case then, hey, I'm going along for the ride, but it felt earnest.
Yeah. And you walked away with something. So you know, every time someone comes at you trying to bargain you down on price, it's not necessarily that they're just trying to get you to go lower. He had a legitimate reason for it. He had a reason for doing and saying what he did. And that's what you uncovered. You uncovered that he had pressure from the top. And it made you focus back in on price is only one term of a negotiation. There are other things that you can negotiate for that don't have anything to do with price, which you found out now that you can get all these other things, which are going to be very helpful in the long run. And you preserved a relationship that could be fruitful in the coming months. So I think overall big win for you, honestly. Cool. Yes, you took a little lower price. Yeah. But you got a lot of other things covered, and you basically endeared him to you now. And now that's going to be a nice relationship moving forward.
Yeah, he's already said I can use his name and his company name, in video testimonials, which is huge. They're a huge life sciences company. So that's a huge boon. Yeah.
Nice. So big win. Bravo.
Big win. Thank you, Sandy. That was awesome. Yeah. And I do have to say it was super scary sending some of the stuff. I replied to Sandy at one point and said, why did that feel so scary to send that? But it did. And I just got such an amazing response. So let's talk about positive reinforcement. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Exactly. You have to work through the fear. You have to overcome the awkwardness. It's going to feel crazy with some of these things. And there's a couple people on this call that have been doing this for a while now. And they can tell you when they first started, it was legit terrifying to go out and point out negatives for one thing first, before the person even lets you know there's anything negative. You're pointing it out and you feel like it's going to backfire. It's not going to backfire. That's the thing. When you label something that's negative and you diffuse it, you mitigate it. That's how it works. You don't plant the negative. And that's what everyone's normally scared about. And plus, for you read what I wrote in a certain tone because you can't control the tone in an email. Right. So and I'm an assertive person, and that usually comes across. So when I said to say this, if you were hearing my voice and my normal assertive, high-strung self, it could have come across as jolting to you. But when he read it, he obviously had a feeling for you and your tone of voice, and he read it as you basically saying, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" And he responded in kind. So that's why you use empathy all the way through. So that if you have to send something like that, the tone that they're used to hearing from you is a tone that they will ascribe to it.
Right.
Which for me, I'm assertive and I'm pretty much in your face all the time. So when I give people something like that to say, they feel like, "Oh my gosh, that sounds really harsh," just because you're hearing it in my voice. That's why.
Stacey's touched on something that was so true and important for everybody to understand. We talk about the counterpart's fear. She mentioned her fear, and she worked through it, and she used the skills. A lot of times we coach people, and they'll want us to help them get the sequencing down, and then the next time we talk to them, they go, "I couldn't say that," or I just couldn't do that. And we're saying, you're negotiating against yourself. And then finally, when they do come back and go, "Oh, it worked, it really worked." And we say, just that's why we talk about low stakes practice. Get as much of it in as you can, and then you'll become more confident and more comfortable with using the skills. The only way you know it's not going to work is if you don't try it.
Exactly. And to Troy's point, we have coaching clients do that all the time. We say, make up a list of robust list of accusations audits, and they come up with 30 and they use 3, and they don't even plan to use the other ones. And then they get bitten in the butt by the stuff that they don't mitigate. So, we don't tell you to use this stuff because we know you're going to get attacked. We tell you to use this stuff because it works. But you are the only person who can control your tone. So if we tell you to say something, if we word it out for you, you have to make sure that if you're talking to a person about it, you have to modulate your own tone, because that's the one thing we can't do for you. We can tell you everything to say, but how you say it is going to be on you and your tone. And practicing the tone of voice is key, because if it comes across wrong, it's going to have a different result. So that talking to yourself as you're driving in the car and playing with your tone and putting your chin up and putting your chin down, getting that late night FM DJ tone right, and that accommodating tone right, and avoiding the assertive tone altogether, because it's always counterproductive. If you practice that, you're going to see a difference, and you're going to be able to trust yourself a little bit more with what you say, because your tone will already be in its right place. And that's key. So if you guys haven't been practicing tone yet, that's a good place to start, because your skills, you can say pretty much anything you want to somebody if you have a great tone with a nice audit that you use first. Because it works. And I can tell you it works because it works on Chris Voss. And if it works on Chris Voss, the guy who did this, it works on everybody. So, you can audit him very easily and he made a point of the training we did last week in LA, but we're kind of used to using it on each other. So we don't even think about it anymore. So when someone uses a skill when we're in our own company stuff, it doesn't really register, because we're so used to using it that it's just kind of like whatever. So the fact that you can use an accusation on him and it works really isn't so much for us, because he's used to us saying it. But that audit is, it's game changing. It's like you're reading their mind, and they kind of think, whoa. And so anything you say to them after that, after you already throw yourself under the bus, no problem.